it's cold. It's strange. Where were you in
Yep.
Ohio?
Actually went into Columbus for the Ohio State game, Ohio State,
Oh, that's right.
Minnesota.
You told me that. Yeah. Yeah,
And
I've only lived here a few months, so I don't know any of the history. But yeah, go ahead.
so he was saying that Pennsylvania is kind of the tale of two states. It's like you have Pittsburgh to the left and Philly to the right, and Alabama in the middle. I thought that was funny.
That's
Anyway.
pretty good too. Yeah, that's funny as well. It's an interesting place. I've never experienced anything like this before. It's a very odd juxtaposition of a bunch of different cultures and different attitudes, and it's
Right.
just interesting. It's a for somebody who didn't grow up here, I have to admit it's weird, but
Right. Completely understand. Okay, great. Let's get started if we're all ready.
yeah, let's do it.
So thanks, Blake, for your time. Mike, do I have your permission to start?
Please do.
Or you
Yes.
have? Okay, great. So Blake, what we have come up after studying your solution is that how we can propose you a solution where you will have a franchise portal and a corporate portal for ITR. So what it might look like is that you'll have a franchise lead management, and it would help you do sales invoice management and inventory and event management if those are other things that you look into it. So this is how the structure or the architecture would look like. So there are like the smaller circles are the franchise, which are surrounding, and the ITR corporate IT is in the center.
Sure.
And the UI that you're going to see is something like this, where you'll be able to drill down into any franchise, and the franchise will have a more simplified UI, just a very simple one. And there is a much more simpler version, even simpler than this, which we will be showing you in some time. And here the franchise will enter their own leads. And so, for example, this is the ITR franchise portal, and they enter their leads on the portal. And then this is the franchise 2. And you will be sitting in the main cockpit of ITR corporate leads. So where you can see all the leads from company 1 by just toggling the on the top and switching to the leads. The same way you'll have the invoices on the ITR portal and franchise 2, and then same thing. Now the third one was the task management. You had sent a Word document, so where you have all these. So we just analyzed it, and we came up with some sort of task management in our system. So this is where a franchise can. So this is an example. If you see on the top, like the name here is a 10K long race. So there are certain steps that you have to go through. So when these steps get completed, they can sign off as completion, like person complete, like they can put 100% on each of those steps. So that way you get an intimation that the steps are all completed. And this is how we set it up, like the 10K, so installing the Jaguar system and fundraising, all the steps that you gave us in the system.
Great.
So again, you can see what they have set up. So each of the franchise, you can see the task management the same way you. So I'll just switch over to the actual system, and then probably we can show the system live to you. So the first thing is what we are going to look at is a simplified view of the ITR portal.
Okay.
And just logging into the portal. So this is the look and feel that it is going to be a very simple portal. So if I log in, this is all they see on the screen. And once they have to enter a lead, they just type in lead there. So it will prompt them for lead management, and they can enter a lead. The same way they can type in invoice there, and they'll directly go to the invoicing. So this is all they need to do. Then they can use the system in this particular manner. So it's going to be like no significant learning for them, and most of the screen will be self-explanatory. So they can add a lead directly here. Now, if they want to create a lead, they can just click on add, and all these leads, company one. So if you see the company one and company two, those are the leads that they are seeing in the system that they are going to create. Now I'm going to take you to the corporate view. The same way a franchise two will be entering the lead. And now we'll be going into the corporate view. So the corporate IT system will have a different URL, which is going to be a little bit more involved, and you have the ability to toggle here. So this is, so if you see that the simple portal was one for them, and this is a more involved portal. So I'm going to be going to the CRM module now, and in the CRM module, we'll go to the leads management, and then there you can see the leads. So in here, at this time, where you see on the top Camlin, that is like ITR. So we just actually pulled off this from our another customer. So they use it for like a similar dealer structure, so which is like a franchise structure.
Yeah. Okay.
So here, these are your own leads. So what you're seeing is that if ITR corporate is generating their own set of leads, and if you have cancer rates by St. Jude, you can just enter it here. And so these are not going to be visible to company one. Now, when I flip over the company on the top to company one, which is the franchise one, you'll be seeing the leads which belong to that particular franchise. So if any number of franchise, you can go and see their system, and you'll be seeing just their leads, just their tasks, just their invoices. So you see here, these are the two leads I showed you from their simplified portal that they entered those leads. And now those two leads are visible here in this system.
Mm-hmm.
Sandeep, can you stay there?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. So this one. So the same way for the invoices, and if I go to company two, I can see company two's leads. The same architecture is for the invoicing. And the next part is the task management, which I showed you, that they can also enter. So if they are organizing those tasks for a particular race, and you want to see the visibility into like what steps are completed, then you can simply have them log into the project, set up that task management site. We're using our project management module to do that, and that accomplishes that part of it. So we'll be going to show you that task management now. And again, the way we showed you the projects, so if we go in the detail of like which franchise is doing what, then we'll just show it. So here they will just be entering that specific race, and we can just modify any of these titles to whatever you like.
Yeah.
So they will be adding their races from the franchise portal. So if they are organizing a particular race or like installing the system on a particular race, they can just enter that in here. And if I go in the detail view of this, you will be seeing that all the steps will be showing up in a. So we just set up a hierarchy. We don't let them control the hierarchy. It's the corporate ITR which controls these set of steps. They have to fill in. So that is sort of providing a governance around the framework that they're not messing with your framework. They have to follow this and they have to put the percent completion for each of those tasks. So if fundraising is like 50% through, they can write a 50% in that, and then all the dates that they want to do. So you had the data completeness, so and set up the IVR. Then the next, you scroll up a little bit. Yeah, so you see review the race form. So you give all these things to us, and if you want to even know that who is working on what part from your franchise employee or workforce, that's also possible to track everything. If they need any material inventory for setting up the Jaguar system, the timers, the scanners, the RFIDs, then all that can be done. So yeah, this is about that part. We can just restrict to whatever level you want us to restrict. And slowly, if you want to benefit from more automation, you can further choose to add more automation. So the system, in a way, what I'm trying to show is ready for what we understood based on your requirements.
Okay.
Ashish, I know when we talked a few days ago, I'm very impressed with how much progress you made here trying to kind of put this mock-up together, right?
Yeah. And they can also do lead management through our mobile app. So this is our mobile app that they want to enter leads. Then they have a CRM system on mobile.
Is the whole system a single app?
Yeah, we also have a single app. I mean, it depends because we have customers who only take CRM. We have customers who also take finance, and some customer who take the entire suite. So we have those isolated apps and are combined one single app.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, because I mean, we have like some very advanced functionality that if you like at a later stage, the system has the capability to roll out into like even tracking the runners when they're running. There are apps that, which is the geolocation, which you can track the complete itinerary of the runner. And I mean, there are like a lot of things that you can leverage for the system.
Mm-hmm. Can the task list be modified by the franchisee if we wanted it that way? The task set?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can the task sets be made an order of magnitude more simple? In other words, can we turn them into checkboxes?
Yes.
Okay.
So there are like
employee, can we categorize the tasks by, I don't know. Yeah, just any random categorization. You know, maybe the one is a registration related task, one is a race management related task, and then can the employee see their tasks, just their tasks?
Yes, we can enable that, but there is another part which I showed you. So we have an app called ESS, Employee Self-Service. So this app is where the employee can only see his data
Yeah.
and not of the organization's data. But there are like some minor configurations or some if you have some very specific customization needs that we'll have to get into those nitty-gritties. But I mean, most of the things I'm hearing from you can be done from the standard system.
Can I see this? I mean, can you show me this in a mobile environment? Do you have a way of showing me the inside of the system in mobile? Like,
You mean like an emulator? I don't know if
well, so I
I-
guess I don't know whether you do it with apps or you just do a mobile friendly, mobile optimized web page, however you do it. But I'd like to see that.
I can actually get my iOS developer to send some sort of a presentation he might have, but I'm not carrying it at this moment.
So for the app, we're going to have to develop the app for iOS and Android independent of this system. It's a separate development project.
Yeah, if you want some enhancements on top of it.
So the website itself is not mobile optimized or friendly for smaller format screens.
Yeah, I mean, this is a screen print of the mobile app, the tracking history, what I'm seeing here, showing you here.
Yeah.
So
Ashish, I think what he's asking is if you try to hit the web version from, say, an iPad, right? Does it render right nicely on an iPad?
yes, it does, but I thought that Blake is asking about the task management and the things that he said, like checkbox.
Well,
And-
I am. I'm very much interested in that. But the way people work these days, I mean, they go straight from their computer to their phone and the same web page or the same place, same location, same functionality. I'm suspicious, I guess, of needing to do separate iOS and Android development to get the right functionality on a mobile environment. I mean, look, we're app builders too. I mean, we have a app for our registration platform, and it's a horribly complicated thing to deal with, very time consuming and horrifically expensive to really make it right. So I guess what I'm wondering is if I just go to this website on a phone, is it going to work? And if not, is that every single one of these functionalities being?
If you use Safari, you use Safari or Chrome from your iPhone, you can just log into the app. It's actually mobile friendly. All these pages are mobile friendly. Oh, I was just confused about. I thought like you're talking about the app.
Yeah.
I get it now. So you can log into this app through iPad or iPhone or anything. Any browser, it is compatible with that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would definitely need to see that because one man's idea of an acceptable level of mobile friendly isn't necessarily consistent with another's.
Sure.
But I would want to see that for sure. The full functionality of that, actually, doing an invoice or looking at the tasks and all that stuff, and you get to see all that. Because if that's clunky or not quite right, or that's a problem. Admittedly, it's got to be. Unfortunately, we live in a world where everything has to be beautiful, and functionality is only half the equation that you have to deliver. It's got to also be easy and positive user experience. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like I've kind of said before, I'm fairly confident, based on the fact, and I think I've mentioned before, we already have several developers at our company, and we hire out many. We have probably another 4 or 5 employee equivalent developers working, remotely or hired on. We'll use Upwork or just contract companies to help us. So we're familiar with developing software, which means that I'm confident that you can do anything. But at what price and what time frame and what level of complication, from our end in terms of implementing software and things like that, and connecting to our existing systems and all. I mean, I just like I said, I totally believe you can do whatever we ask you to do. I just don't know how to understand how long it's going to take and at what to get exactly this pretty final product that we need to have. How do I think about that? How do I?
Yeah. So for that, I mean, I would look forward to some answers on that. So Mike, basically, I was go ahead. If I have some questions around that. I mean, what you're seeing in front of you right now, are there like some significant changes that you're looking to what we just showed you, or
I've learned. Yeah, I've learned to be really careful around the word significant as it relates to changes when you're talking to developers, and I say that with an infinite amount of respect, considering my entire company is made up of them. Significant to me isn't necessarily the same thing as it is to you when it comes to sitting down and writing code. I may see something as being a minor change, a single change, a minor adjustment that turns out to be a massive mess. So I'm reluctant to say that. What I will say is that what we have here is a framework that needs a lot of refinement. And whether that means changing structurally how some things are done or not, I don't really know, because I don't know how I don't fully understand. I mean, I get it, but I don't fully understand the details of how you've architected this data, how it's all set up, I guess. So maybe it's very simple and maybe it's not. I don't know. You have to sit down and go through the thing piece by piece and item by item. And I'm just trying to understand it. At some point we've got to define a cost and a timeline estimate to kind of get to this final functionality. And so it's both a blessing and a curse that you have so much flexibility. It's a blessing because you can do anything, but it's a curse because sometimes things get done in a slightly, for whatever reason, incorrect way and have to be corrected. Not because of a lack of knowledge or understanding or anything. It's just sometimes things just, aren't done correctly the first time. That's okay. That's how the world works. So I just still don't understand where I'm at from a cost and launch perspective and all that. I'm just, like I said, I believe you can do it, but that's like only, I mean, that's, yeah, you can do it. A lot of people can do it. We probably could have done it ourselves, but the point was that we didn't want to develop it ourselves because it's too expensive. It takes time away from other more important projects. It creates additional complications internally. So yeah, help me understand where we're headed with this.
Okay. Ashish, if you could pull up your slide deck again to that very minimalist franchisees starting page. So Blake, I know originally we talked about, right, turning this system loose. And we kind of showed you on the first review of the system, the corporate system that your team will be working in.
Yeah.
And I think we all agree this is too much, just too complicated, needed to be scaled back. I think the vision that we've tried to kind of bring together now in kind of our version 2 review is we're going to have a very clean and a very simplified franchisee platform that will be secure, locked down so that franchise 1 never sees franchise 2 information. And we can, the view that you're seeing on the screen now, we can pare it down even further, because I don't think inventory and procurement and production are going to be parts of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So it's really going to be the CRM and finance, right? And then maybe that.
Oh yeah, because
project,
you put the project management component inside of the CRM, right?
Yeah.
The task list.
So again, the goal was to try to make this just stupidly simple, right, for the franchisees. Give them credit, right? I mean, they'll be able to learn the system, but we wanted to make it, again, very light, very clean for them, right?
Yeah.
So I think what Ashish and team have pulled together is the ability here, which is kind of unique, right? Compared to if we kind of do the comparison to Zoho, right? We're going to have a single system that you can take and push down to hundreds of downstream franchisees and still have a unified view from the top to be able to go in and do the reporting and the querying and maybe even the training, depending on how downstream training is going to be done as you bring, right, franchisees on. The pricing, as a follow-on to this call, I know we've kind of talked around what's the initial base, right? And I think you said initially the base is going to be your corporate team and then maybe 1 or 2 of your kind of early adopter franchisees.
Yeah, it's
right?
very small to begin with. I mean, that's the way franchising works. I mean, I can't tell you how many I'm going to have in a year. I mean, I can tell you what I'm hoping for, but geez, I can't commit to anything.
Yeah. Understand. Well, again, we really have endeavored to kind of convey to you that we want this to be a partnership, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing, to a degree, some investment in this partnership and hopefully crafting a system that will allow you to take it downstream and grow it rapidly as you bring more and more franchisees aboard.
Yeah.
Right? So following this discussion, I'm going to deliver to you a pricing structure. And we know we've got some tweaks that you right now have identified need to be done, right? So I think what we'll do is develop a scope of work around those evolutions to the system. And then we will offer you a rate of $20 an hour for custom programming to take this system as far as you want to take it.
Okay. Okay.
So question, if you would give us a ballpark, give us what's that starting user count that you're going to start in phase 1?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta figure it's, I don't know, 10. I mean,
Okay.
it's just not a lot of people to start. It's my team at ITS, which is, 3 or 4 people. I mean, ITS is a 25-person company, but the people that are involved in franchising is, only 3 or 4, and then if maybe a few other franchisees. So the user count, for between now and I don't know, probably middle of next year is, not likely to exceed 20.
Okay.
Now, middle of next year, if this works and the franchise takes off, and um, which I expect that it will. I mean, everything points to people being interested in this opportunity. Then those numbers get big really fast. But it's you're still looking at, let's say, max. I just did it the other day. The total number of franchisees that probably theoretically could be sold in the U.S. is somewhere around 400. Each of those is going to probably have an average of 3 users. So you're looking at 1,200 users as your theoretical absolute maximum number. So you're not going to get there. You're going to get to something smaller than that. You're going to end up at a few. You're going to spend another couple of years at a few hundred while you fill out the territories. Before you hit that 1,000 mark. I mean, that gives you. I'm trying to give you as straightforward an answer as I can, but again, it's very, very difficult to make any kind of commitment. I don't want to tell you that something's going to happen and then it doesn't, and then all of a sudden you guys aren't interested in the project anymore because you're not making enough money, and now I can't get the support that I need, and all of that. So hopefully that's an honest answer to your question. I don't know how else to answer it.
Well, we appreciate your candor, right? I get that. And again, there are forecasts that you have as far as growth of the business, and then there's the real world, and it's going to be somewhere in between, right? So realistically, we're looking at 10 to 20 seats for the first 6 to 8 months, right, of next year.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't shock me if that's how it plays out. I mean, if we go and launch this thing early in the year, and it takes, franchising is a strange thing. You've got to have people come in for discovery day. They have to experience your brand. You have to show them as, the store, so to speak, even though in our business there isn't one, but you have to kind of do this song and dance where you show them what they're going to get. And then from there, you have to, go through a 30-day sales process because the FTC says that's how you have to do it. And, then finally you've got to close, sale on a franchise, and they've got to hire their operations manager, come to our offices for training, and maybe then they're actually being issued their franchise portal. Then they're going to start being billed. So it's just a slow process at first. Then you get to a point where you're onboarding somebody every 15 days or every 30 days, and then it starts to roll. But that takes a while. That takes some time. And presumably we're going to find things we need to modify about the system early on in that time, right? I mean, we're building this from the scratch up with from scratch, from the bottom up, with no real experience with it, right? I mean, we haven't ever tried to implement this in the real world. So it's highly likely that we're going to go out and we're going to take version 1 and take it out into the field and find out that we've got to make some changes. $20 an hour doesn't bother me. I mean, that's market. That's kind of the market rate for a lot of developers at this point. You can find those kind of rates, so that's quite okay. We're just, and we don't necessarily have a problem with paying hourly rates to get work done.
Yeah. So Blake, one thing is that, in our case, it is actually, solution is ready for any business management sort of a framework. So we don't have to start anything from scratch. It's mostly the UI modifications that you might request that, okay, we want to simplify this UI. We might have to hide these stuff. So we don't have to change anything on the architecture side because it's all a microservices-based architecture that we adopt.
Yeah.
We just call those services, enable, disable those services. So, the go-to-market using this solution is going to be much faster compared to building it ground up from scratch. So those are some of the highlights that I would definitely like to add my 2 cents.
Okay.
Like this, I think we talked about kind of your model, right? So you're going to bundle, what is it, 2 seats of the ERP system into every franchise. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? Have you finalized your thinking on that?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a minimum number of seats, and that number is probably 2. It could be 3, but let's call it 2. That's the minimum. It's more realistic that it's going to be a third, because you're going to have a single seat that the employees are, and I say employees, the actual timers that are out there timing the races early in the morning. They don't need different seats. All they need is basic access to basic information. So there's no reason for them to have any functionality. It's just visible. So they would all use a single seat would be ideal. It would be unaffordable if we had to give every employee a seat. You've got the manager, the operations manager. You might have a couple of owners. So in theory, you could get up to 5 or 6 or 7 seats per franchise. That's realistic. But to start, your minimum is going to be 2. And we're going to resell it, right? So whatever you guys, charge us, I need to have room for margin on that without getting ridiculously expensive and still deliver all the functionality.
Okay. Yeah, I thought we kind of discussed that you were going to bundle it, right?
Yeah.
And kind of enforce that, hey, guys, this is just the way we run the business, right? It's not optional.
Oh, yeah. They're going to be forced to use the system, and they're going to be forced to use our kind of administrative permissions structure, because we need to control who has access to what information. Employees need to have a certain degree of limits, limited access, I guess, to certain kinds of information. So we're going to force them to use that structure. Yeah.
And as you take this downstream, I know there's going to be some initial data migration for your kind of the corporate, right, data that we're going to need to move into the system.
No, not really. The franchise is new. It's a new thing for us. It's a new business. So there's really not much existing
data.
Yeah, there's not much going on.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, just start fresh.
So if we kind of look at the longer term picture as we start bringing franchisees aboard, how do you envision that happening? Is that going to be an onboarding that your team is going to do? And it's just a matter of you kind of saying, hey, Mike, we need to now light up, this new franchisee with 2 more seats. Tell us when it's ready, and we'll take it from there.
I'd be very much more comfortable if I could, to a certain degree, manage the seats myself. That would be helpful. I don't really want to have to make phone calls or whatever every time we need to do something significant. For example, adding a new franchise, the faster and quicker and easier and more turnkey that matters. Speed of launch of a new franchise is, it's important. So I'm not sure quite how to answer that question. I know that if I were looking at this from the perspective of a different piece of software, let's say we were going to make them use Office 365 or something, right? And the whole thing lived in Office 365. I can save sort of a set of settings or an implementation, and click one button in Office 365 and launch a new user, assign that user a business unit, a sub business, a company, whatever how you want to call them, a franchise, and it's kind of done. Like you're a couple of button clicks, and it's over.
Okay. So you'd like to have a kind of a central console where you can kind of control and manage that.
Yeah, I mean, well, the statement that I'll make is it's got to be easy. I don't really care how it's done, but it does have to be fast and easy.
Okay. And then the onboarding, do you envision somebody on your team kind of doing that train up, or
Yeah,
is that something you don't want?
Yeah, I'll train them. That'll be part of their training. They'll come to our offices for a week, and we will teach them how to run the business, and we'll do that with their franchise system on the screen.
Yeah, part of the curriculum. Okay.
Yep. In theory, it's functionality is pretty darn straightforward, or it should be. Shouldn't be a whole lot of training that has to happen there. We're gonna pull up the system, say here's where you enter a lead, here's how you send them a quote, here's how you finalize a quote, send an invoice, here's how you deliver a contract, and here's how you set up the task, for that lead. And here's where you go and look at your tasks. I mean, that's kind of it at this point.
Okay.
Now, one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and again, I kind of I feel bad, I guess, in one way, but Zoho has all these other, for example, Zoho or other similar systems have all these other functionalities that you can use. Books, the accounting component, the integration with some accounting system, whether it's QuickBooks or something else. Books offers options, or Zoho offers us options like Books to eliminate some other subscriptions that the franchisee might have to have. And I've said before how important keeping the cost of the subscriptions that the franchisees have to have, especially early on, down is really important. That can get crippling when you start adding $100 here and $100 there and $100 there, and next thing you know, they're paying, more than their payment on their van is going out just for all these little tiny widgets that they need to make their business run. So I'm also a little bit concerned about the comprehensive nature of, or the degree to which this can be a comprehensive solution for the franchisees. I mean, I've asked for a simplification because I want a user interface to be simplified. But, how do I understand the costs of not having, for example, a built-in meeting platform like what Zoho offers, or they've got a training tool that you can use that allows you to put up videos and whatnot, and there's just so much that's there. I'm not sure. Like, I feel like we're working really hard to rebuild a functionality that kind of already exists somewhere else, and I don't know how to justify that. Why would I? Again, I go back to what's the benefit of using this ERP system over just something else? I mean, I'm still...
Yeah, so
if I understood, Blake, did I recall that you had talked with another Zoho partner that assured you that they could architect a single instance of Zoho that would support hundreds of separate financial charts of account?
No, what they could do is they could make the reporting of that financial information flow properly. So whether or not it was a single instance, I'm not sure exactly what that means in Zoho terms. Whether or not it was exactly a single instance, I don't know. I don't know.
That's definitely something you do want to know about, and just be sure you understand what they're, because I think they might be over promising based on our knowledge of the architecture of Zoho. What's unique about this platform, right?
I mean, I'm highly suspicious of them over promising as well, by the way. But
yeah,
you know, I haven't gotten to the point in the conversation with them where I can prove that one way or another.
right.
So I
What's
have no
unique
choice
about
at this
this
point to
platform-
believe them until I can prove it. You know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you go online, you start. I mean, Zoho certainly wants you to think you can do this as well. So that's complicating that further. By the way, is that Zoho is trying adamantly to show you that you do have this ability and this functionality. And yeah,
Yeah.
I guess and it's hard to not believe them, even though I definitely understand your concern and agree with the concern emphatically.
Right.
So Blake, here is what you're talking about, the training system. I mean, we don't even have to like build anything for you. Here is like the complete training system for customer training or employee training or franchise training. You can use our training module for anything you want. So I mean, and that's actually where I mean, Zoho was an isolated, like they had Zoho Recruit, which they used to call HR, and that was just peanuts. I mean, we are like much more bigger functionality, and we can just pick and choose what you want out of it. So we can just choose training for your franchise.
Yeah. So what do you mean pick and choose? Like does that mean that when I want to add training, I'm adding $20 a seat or something? Like what do I end up with?
We can like Mike can work out a pricing which is like based on your comprehensive needs, like a one lump sum price for what you're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, you know, one thing that was really attractive about so I apologize for the noise. I just had to move to a different spot in my house. One thing that's very that I liked about Zoho is, you know, you've got the Zoho One deal where you just, you pay a price, no questions asked, you know, whatever you want. I guess I'm not sure that you guys can do that and still be profitable, but I just don't want to end up with one price now. It can't change. I can't tell my franchisees it's going to be $50 a seat and then have that turn into $150 a seat or even $65 a seat without being able to justify all of that. So I really do need to understand my total cost. And it's just hard to do when I've got to go through every single one of your capabilities and decide what I can use and what I would like to use. And so like you've got training stuff there. Like, does it record a presentation? I mean, you're obviously you're still using GoToMeeting. What functionality is there? And I don't know how to play with it. I'm just so far from being able to understand what I really even can do. And again, at what price? Like I said, I appreciate that you guys made the modifications that you made and adjusted the functionality to what I requested, and I'm very much confident that you guys can do whatever I ask you to do. I mean, I believe that wholeheartedly. Like I said, I've worked with smart developers on other projects before. I mean, you define the need, and sometime later out comes a piece of software that does what you want it to do. So that's not a question. I just am. I'm lost in the business component of this.
Yes. So, I mean, you have the complete ability to define your trainings in this. You can upload your training. You can set up your training calendar.
So what does that mean when I upload training? What am I uploading? A PDF, a video, like?
Yeah, you can upload any type of content in the training.
Okay. And then can I track can I track their progress through it, I assume?
Yes. So it can be a self-paced training. It can be an instructor-based training. So any type of training. I mean, So you can have like a gold partner training or a bronze partner if you have like different type of franchise. And here, like if you want to upload any type of file material, you can just have video or a file. So it can support PowerPoint, it can support Excel, Word, JPEGs, videos, anything that you're looking for. I mean,
Okay. Can you give me an instance of this? Sorry about the dog making noise. Can you give me an instance of this software that I can just mess around with for 30 days or something, or 15 days?
yeah, Mike might be able to work out the. We can definitely give the software, but you want a simplified one because what I'm showing you is the corporate version.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want the corporate version. This is like a big enterprise version.
Yeah, I don't know what to even ask you for. I don't know. There's all kinds of amazing stuff here. I don't know what to ask for without being able to work with it. I'm afraid of you giving me an instance of the software and it being complicated and that hurting your case. I don't know. I don't know what to.
If you have a requirement list that, okay, I want franchise training, because you gave us a list and we could just extract out the functionality from here.
Yeah.
And just give you a simplified version of it, and then you can take it from there. So because our application is much more bigger than even Zoho One or Diamond. They are still in the process of building the application. We are already a application which is ready to go.
Okay. Yeah.
So Blake, if you would give some thought, maybe over the weekend when you got a coldie, just sketch out, theoretically, what additional modules beyond, because the base system we presumed that the system would start with would be the CRM aspect, the accounting aspect, right?
Yeah.
And then that task around, race day, right? Race day project management. So those were really the focus areas. We tried to kind of pare everything back to just represent that for franchisees.
Yeah.
I understand.
Well, you are. The thing is I can't, if I give you a scope of project that's everything, I guess. Yeah.
I guess I'm asking, would a franchisee want a training module, or is that more for your corporate team to train, right, to center their training activities for franchisees?
Yeah, I have to train and onboard franchisees.
Yeah, so that's really a corporate module. You don't need it for the franchisees, right? It doesn't need to be
so
okay.
You're right. What you guys are building or trying to show me for the franchisees is consistent with what the franchisee needs.
Okay.
That's you're headed the right direction in that. The thing I'm concerned about is that I just don't have any idea where we're going with this. If this is going to turn into an incredibly expensive thing because I want these other bits and pieces at the corporate level, or maybe I need to add a thing later on, I need to know everything that you're capable of doing so that I can, everything you're capable of doing right now, right? Because again, I know you can develop anything. That's not that we can't consider those things. I don't have time for that. So with what you've got right now, what of it do I want at the corporate level? What of it do I want at the franchise level? And what is it all going to cost? And how quickly can I get it?
Okay. So I think we can maybe help with that. So what I can do is arrange to get kind of an email summary to you of here are the modules that we can potentially power on for the corporate team. And that is very deep and very broad, right? So you can look at that and go, yeah, let's consider this, and this. And we don't need, these 10 other things because it's just not relevant today. And here's what we want to push down and add beyond CRM and accounting and project management. Here's what we'd like to potentially turn on for franchisees. And then we can endeavor to kind of get a mock-up system for you and then let you have some hands-on with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do that, I'm not going to tell you no. I'm just having trouble. I'm struggling with figuring out what's in front of me, what you guys can do, and what it's going to cost, and how. Yeah, like I said, what it's going to cost and how quickly I can get it done. Like, on one hand, I have this version 1 that I need to get to, and I need to get to it in like the next 60 days. Right? That has to be done now, pronto. But that's not the scope of the total project. And, I guess I'm realizing now that my scope document doesn't even, I guess, is missing corporate things that I just didn't put in there because it's just stuff that, I assumed that the other systems I was looking at could do. Meetings and, call scheduling. There's so much stuff that's just a native component of other systems that you probably can do, but I don't even know what to ask about because it's just part of everyday life at this point. Yeah, it's tough.
And I think really comparing a true side-by-side, comparing Zoho One to Business Day is really hard. I mean, you really, on some levels, you can't, right? I think in the Zoho One framework, what you would wind up with is individual instances. If accounting is going to be part of the package, right, where you want them to do their own invoicing but not see other people's payments, and right, it's going to have to be individual franchisee unique instances, and you'll need to have a login, right, where you can go in and query when you need to query. I could see potentially how you could pipe financial data into a master reporting engine, but we're kind of comparing hundreds of individual Zoho instances, right, with a single unified branded instance that truly gives you a top down on a single unified system, right? And what you give up is all the 40 other applications, well, yeah, probably 30 other applications that would be part of Zoho One that aren't in Business Day, right?
Yeah, and that's making sense. I mean, that's a framework for making this decision that I can understand. I mean, I get the benefits of that, and I understand why it makes sense to have things that are proprietary. I'm terrified of it. I mean, we've been building a registration platform at our company for 7 years now, and it's buggy as hell. It's got a million issues and problems with it, and it's our biggest revenue generator, and we still have all these problems. And we have a team of great developers who work on it, but it doesn't matter. I mean, when you're writing software for yourself and you've got a bunch of people that start to have input, stuff just gets out of hand. Right. And the stress and the difficulty of managing that project is real. I mean, that is a serious, that's a thing that has to be taken very seriously. And the fact that you guys, like I said, I'm confident that you guys can do anything that I ask you to do. But I don't have any way of imagining that without really digging further into what you've got and all of that. And I'm just not sure I've got time for that. I mean, I need to see all this stuff work. I need to play with it. I need to get in there and just try to think up questions And then I've got to worry about how my internal team is going to go when they all see it, because they're a bunch of developers, and the second they see a piece of software, they're like a pack of lions. They just go in there and they just start getting ideas, and ideas are lethal. They're deadly. I can't have ideas. I can't have messes. I can't have that kind of thing. It just needs to work. And even if it isn't perfect, or you have to hack job a couple things together, sometimes that's better, because it's just done. And this is what it is. And the business can move forward. Right. So we got to get there. We got to get to that. And I don't know. I am getting a little bit more lost as we go along here, in terms of how this actually works in my life, right? And what I've got to deal with every day. I'm totally confident in your ability as developers. That is not an issue at this point. It's cost, speed of implementation, how well is it packaged already to meet my needs. I don't know. What's $20 an hour is great, but is that a team of 10 people that are working day in and day out for a month to get something solved, or is that one guy for a couple hours solving a problem? I have no idea. Again, I'm not a developer. I have no clue where we're going with this.
Right. Well, I think the advantage, again, beyond the proprietary branded nature that Business Day can represent for you,
yeah,
right? It's a unified system that is a pretty well-baked code set, right? It's not like we've got to go in and do a lot of tweaking. I think what you're going to do is go, hey, can we make those checkboxes instead of drop-down boxes, right?
Yeah.
It's not like we're going in and completely reworking a module's logic, right? So what we'll try to do as your trusted implementation partner is, when you start trying to go too crazy, we'll kind of say, hold on a minute, do we really need to go that far, right? And we'll do that with you, or we'll do that with your development team, right? The guys that are saying, hey, we can.
Yeah.
Because out of the box,
mission number one is to keep those guys off the phone.
of everything you want it to do, right?
Yeah.
Out of the box, it'll do 98% of everything you want it to do.
Yeah.
And those remaining 2 to 5%, maybe it's only 95%, but I think those 5% of things that you'd like to evolve, I think I don't think it's heavy lifting from a development perspective.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it is either. But that's scary. That's an unknown. And I know my coworkers.
Right, because Zoho's got custom functions and they have their creator deluge development platform. Right, so if you turn that loose on a developer,
it's the same problem.
It could get crazy pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same problem. Yeah, it is a similar problem.
Yeah. Well, here's what I would suggest from a next steps perspective. We'll work on getting a pricing summary to you so you can just have every answer that you need on the budget perspective and start figuring out, okay, where does this fit compared to Zoho's approach, right? And I'll give you, and Ashish or Stacy, I think you can, I know I've got several documents that I think I could push over to Blake, but you may have some things that I've not even seen yet as far as just module breakdowns that we could certainly push over to just help as he kind of visualizes,
guys, I'm a super nitpicky guy. Like, I mean, part of what makes franchises successful is that this stuff is super clean. So ultimately, I've got to play with your software. Like, you're gonna have to give me something to mess around with, so that I can start. And again, the emotional effort that goes into making these lists of all the things that would need to be different. Like, if that list gets too long, at some point I'm just going to stop and be like, I can't do this. I've got to move on with other things in my life. So that the functionality's got to be clean and beautiful and elegant. It's got to work, and it just has to. I can't sell it to a franchisee if it's not, mobile friendly. It won't work. And when I say mobile friendly, I mean not just the darn thing will load mobile and you can sort of kind of get through a table. I mean it needs to look correct, like it was designed for that purpose. So I'm super picky, and because of that, I'm concerned. I just haven't seen, like I said, you guys have fixed the functionality. That's cool. That's nice. I've got boatloads of developers that can do that. Like I've got a room full of them in St. Louis. I don't need functionality. I need the pretty picture. This nice little wrapped up package with a bow on top that I can sell to a franchisee and not have them go, that thing's ugly. Because they care about that. That matters. When I'm showing them a demo of the system and what they're going to get, it's got to just be pretty and efficient and clean, minimize clicks. When they go, can we do that? The answer is yes, or the answer is no, and there's got to be a reason, not a, well, let me talk to the developer. So I don't know. Right now, from what I've seen, I'm a long way off. I still don't have any idea what this is going to cost. I really don't understand what your capabilities are, and within those capabilities that you give in terms of categorically, I don't know what the details are. Like you can say you have a training platform, that's fine. All right, let's get in there and look at it. Because a training platform to some people is a place where you throw a bunch of documents and you call that training. No, training is, an education management system where you actually can see how long somebody spent working on a module and did they get it done, and if they didn't get it done, what questions did they get wrong? There's everything that goes into that. Where others have complete products, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but I can't even look at it to play to know.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely put the financial pieces in place so that by Monday you'll have that, in hand. Timing. If you're prepared to make a decision by November 1, we'll have you live by November 30th. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, I mean that's
Timing,
hard.
timing works, right?
Yeah, I mean I would love to make a decision by November 1. I'm not. I need to see some more stuff, I guess.
That's a 30-day window, right? So just plug in your date of decision and then plan 30 days to be live.
Yeah,
okay.
I see what you're saying. I understand now. Sorry, yeah. Okay, so you're telling me that within 30 days you can have, what we need.
And I know we got Christmas coming, so allow some flex if it's going to slide into a December decision, right? So,
yeah, I understand.
But again, we're prepared to bring the forces to bear to make this happen. And that 30-day window is comfortable for us. We'll get the pricing to you, follow on some documents over the weekend with Stacy, Ashish, right? We can talk after this and just let me know if there's another document that might better outline things than what I have. Okay?
Yes, no problem.
Okay. And then next week, Blake, we can tee up some time after you kind of see what we've pushed over to you.
Yeah.
We touch base early in the week and kind of plan our next steps.
Yeah. That'd be great. I mean, if we can keep things moving, that would be lovely.
Good. Ashish, anything else you wanted to add before we close? Or Stacy?
I think I'm good for now, but just one thing is, so Blake, I'll just reiterate the point that in our case, we don't have to reinvent the wheel here. We have everything, and the UI is not UI can be refined to your requirements the way you want to roll out the franchise system.
Okay.
Good deal.
All right, then then let's see it run on a mobile formatted screen and kind of get some of these things cleaned up a little bit, and then I mean that would help. I would, I'm kind of suspicious, right? I mean, if you squeeze down a website into a smaller screen, you should be able to show me that. It should just work. You should be able to take your browser and go, shoot, it's smaller, done. Or show me screenshots of the system loaded up on an iPhone screen. Like, I'm suspicious. and I don't want mobile. I don't want to design apps for everything. I mean, that gets, again, expensive, and you got to deal with getting apps onto app stores, and we've been down that road before too, and it's just unnecessary complication.
Yeah, and we don't have to build those apps because we already have the app for LMS, Learning Management System. So
Okay.
we don't have to build the app or do anything fancy with it. So if the standard can suffice you, that's fine. If you want to just see it on the browser on an iPhone, that's also possible.
Okay.
All right, Blake, thanks very much. We, again, appreciate your candor. We also are trying to just be straight up with regard to kind of where we're at. So I think we've made good progress today. I know we've got some key things we just need to, right, either, resolve or just agree that we can't resolve them. But let's start with pricing. Let's start with a summary of the apps, and then we'll work on getting you access to a system. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be great. That's, yeah, I mean, that's going to be the thing that's going to make this even plausible. Yeah, I got to see it. We got to mess with it. I got to figure out how bad, how many of the changes that I think need to be made can be made, and how quickly and at what cost. So yeah, let's do that.
Okay. All right. Ashish and Stacy, my phone is on its last legs here. I'm going to change phones. Stacy, you want to just call me back and we'll just tie off on kind of the document question?
Sure, not a problem.
Okay. Thanks. Have a good weekend, Blake. Stay tuned.
Yeah, talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Thanks for your time, Blake.
Yep.
Take
Thank
care.
you.